What 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts because everybody likes shortcuts, to longevity and a long health span would you share?
I think the first shortcut is get your vitamin D level as high as humanly possible. There's very good correlation with vitamin D levels and longevity. A lot of it has to do with the intactness of the gut wall. And I think we don't spend enough time in longevity circles. If you look at the C. elegans model, this cute little worm, which has stood the test of time in longevity, C. elegans lives only as long as the wall of its gut is intact. And as that wall breaks down, the worm starts to break down. And I think we forget at our peril that as the wall of our gut breaks down, we break down. And just like Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut, perhaps another way of thinking about this is death begins in the gut. And so the more effort I spend on protecting my gut wall, I think I'll be paid back in spades.
And
So
and
that's
th- so that's with vitamin D. That's focusing on vitamin
vitamin
D.
D,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, you brought it up earlier, intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. There's very good data that in humans that I talk about in the books of time restricted eating, limiting an eating window to 6 to 7 hours a day, lowering insulin like growth factor. And I want to keep mine nice and low. So that's an easy trick to do that. The other thing, getting back to kind of rule number one, is digestion is really hard on the wall of the gut. It's work.
Mm.
And we forget, I think, to our peril, that the more downtime we have for our gut in a 24-hour cycle, the more repair work that can be done. And I talk about the Mito Club. You got to have time to clean up the Mito Club. You got to clean up the beer bottles and all the trash. So the longer you have for repair, and this goes into intermittent fasting, the more your gut wall can be intact. So those are two easy to apply tricks.
And I think you change your fast schedule, right? Summer, winter. What does that look like again?
Usually from January 1st, which is right now, to June 30th, I eat in a 2 hour window.
Mm.
Usually during the week. I sometimes take a little off on the weekends, and then I go to a 6 hour window during the rest of the year. Why do I do that? If you look at our ancient ancestors, food was not really very available in the winter and spring. And we would go through cycles of feasting and fasting. And I like to duplicate that. I actually purposely try to gain about 10 pounds every summer and fall, and then I usually take it off every winter. And why? Because that was actually the one of the things that was interesting from my thesis at Yale is that great apes only gain weight in the summer and fall. Um,
Mm.
and then they take it off through the winter. So I just want to be a good great ape.